Yo, what's going on, guys? Draconic here, man, and today we're going to be explaining sixes in a very oversimplified tone, but we're also going to be using paint.net because I am an artiste, man. When humanity first discovered art, we're thinking to themselves, how can we make this worse over and over in times? We drew animals, and now we're here, where I'm explaining to you sixes TF2. Two different things that do not correlate, but we're here. So, sixes was invented around 2007 because people realized real fucking quick that, oh, this game is a bunch of generalists, and they're kind of fast, and they kind of complement each other well. And so they went off of that. Now, we have two scouts, two soldiers, a demo, and a medic. The soldiers are not the same. They are the roamer and the pocket soldier. Flank scout and pocket scout. They've evolved a lot throughout the years, but today we're going to be looking at them in the 2025 vision, dude. Alright, now that we're here, I drew up some beautiful capture points. The blue team right here is going to be fighting the red team. Now, there's 5 usually control points. We'll go over cost in a couple seconds here. Basically, blue team wants to cap the middle point, second point, and the final point for the red team, and vice versa. And they basically want to do this through a series of adds and disadvantages, which we'll talk about very soon. Now, King of the Hill is very different from sixes. It's a lot more faster paced. Fights are going to be happening a lot more. But basically, one team wants to capture the point and control that point until their time ticks down. The timer is around 3 minutes usually, and it's best of 3 rounds, whereas 5 CP is best of 5 rounds. Now, you may be thinking, Draconic, how does this happen? They're even players. How is anything going to happen if they both have a medic? Does it have to be better players, better fighters? I can't deal with that. And the answer is very simple. It all revolves around this fucking guy right here, the medic, dude. The medic is very special because he has something called Ubercharge. Now, Ubercharge equals you being immortal for 8 seconds, and not taking damage is a really useful thing because you don't need to be healed, and you don't die, basically. It's very simple as that. It's basically an ultimatum. It's basically an ultimate, like an Overwatch, or like rivals every single medic, and every single support has been based off of this core concept of the medic for about 18 years now by this point. Now, how does Uber work? Uber, if you've probably played TF2, but like, if you're like especially slow, let's break it down for you. Every second you heal people, you gain a certain percentage of Uber charge. Let's pretend this bar is Uber charge. If you usually when you spawn, you start with 0 Uber charge unless you're using Vitasaw like a maniac. But you start with 0. The more you heal people, you gain a little bit of the bar full. The more and more, and then basically once it's full, you have a Uber charge. And what that does is it makes you invulnerable for 8 seconds, and you can flash multiple people, but it drains faster. Sixes is surrounded by this core concept of Uber and picking fights based off of Ubers. But that's not the only way you can fight people. Now, have you ever heard of the phrase or strengths in numbers? That is sixes, basically. It's very simple. Like, whenever in casual, whenever you see their whole team is dead, you basically push forward. It's basically the same here. Let's say red team's soldier dies. He's dead. The roamer is dead. He's no longer in the fight for around 30 seconds. This team is going to try to take something off of that. They're going to either send their soldier to die for this guy right here, the medical, to get rid of his advantage to Ubercharge, or they're going to try to take space off of this team's map control. Space is a very simple concept on paper, but in practice, it's very fucking difficult to do, like, geometry, height differences, the people, how they play, disadvantages, advantages, things of that nature. But let's make it simple here, dude. This is what the blue team is defending. We'll draw them, like, right here. Look at them go. They're beautiful, man. They got blue little hats. And then let's say there's a red guy right here. Grrr, dude, he's fucking mad. I'm cutting this out, dude. And now we're back here, dude, after I finish drawing this. But let's say this is a space. This is a map. This is basically every second point, kinda. The red team wants to push into them, but they're even. So taking this fight is kinda risky for them because they're already winning, so why would they want to lose out of nowhere? So, but let's say these players are down 1. And let's say this is the team's numbers. Their team is down 1, and now what they want to do is basically take this space right here to see if they can try to do anything, like maybe force their team's medic, the happy little guy that is in the back with the Uber charge, or get the entire point to themselves. Let's talk about the classes. Casual players are going to love hearing about this shit. They love hearing about intricacies. So let's talk about Soldier first. Let's talk about Roamer first, as every fucking casual player has heard the term Roamer. No, gunboats in the original does not mean they're always roaming. The Roamer is basically the soldier here, and his job is to make the enemy medic very sad. He's very happy right now. He has no idea what the fuck's happening. And he's got these fancy boots, man. Beautiful, right? And basically, it's his job to make the enemy medic really sad, or he takes advantages, basically. It's very simple. A common misconception is that he's always going for the med. No, this is not true. We'll talk about it some other time. But typically a good way to think about the roamer is he's the playmaker. Alright, this is the pocket soldier. He is basically very similar to the roamer, but he kind of flip-flops between a flank player and then like a combo player. It depends on how you play him. And he here is to make your med happy, to protect them, jump back from, help your pocket scout like fuck people up, or it could also be his job to make the medic sad on the other team. He can kind of flip-flop between roles. He's kind of bobo as fuck. He's like the roamer, but he's got more commitments to make. Another good way to think of soldier is not just pocket soldier and the roamer, but they're also entry denial. Let's say there's a doorway the enemy team wants to walk through, and it's quite narrow and it's quite enclosed. It's basically a choke point, and the soldier basically excels at saying, no, you cannot come through. This is my point. You will be saying no. Kill yourself. Alright, let's go over Pocket Scout first. Pocket Scout, also known sometimes as the main caller, will be the one usually protecting his medic from enemy players, enemy soldiers, enemy threats. He's kind of sticking near him, and he's going to be taking a lot of the Ubers most of the time. He's also going to be doing something called building, whereas where you hit yourself the Boston Basher around 150 HP, and that basically makes you get Uber really fast. And it's there to make you his medic happy. But he's also meant to make the enemy demo really scared. That's more of a flank scout thing though, but the demo man should fear scout, basically. Think of him basically as an anti-air gun to deny people trying to fuck up your med. Flank scouts, demo man, soldiers, anyone who's really trying to murder your med. That's basically the pocket scout. Alright, this is the flank scout. The flank scout is also very similar to the pocket scout, but he's not as attached. It's kind of like the pocket soldier. You think about it, he can attach himself usually to the combo depending on the situation. But he's more of a capper. He caps the points when the team needs to walk forward. He can go for back caps. He's an off-classer. He's also meant to be another playmaker in times of need. Scout's job usually is to have eyes on everything and just make sure nothing gets through. The demo man's job is basically area denial and doing damage per minute. He's very powerful but also very vulnerable because he doesn't really have a fast way to get away like the other classes, and doesn't have but he does have a beam attached to him. You can honestly think of the demo man as a tank of the team, as he's going to have 260 HP almost always, usually. Always being healed, always being protected. He has this whole combo around him. He's the second most valuable class, second to the medic, obviously, but he can control doorways that are wider than some the soldier cannot control, such as shutter doors, doors that are like twice as wide as normal doorways, things of that nature. And he is really good at weakening enemy players. The medic's job is basically to heal people, be healthy, but his main role is basically he is the Uber charge percentage counter on the screen. His life doesn't really mean much unless he has Uber charge, so that's why it's his team job to protect him so he can get that Uber charge and protect other teammates, and it's a cycle that continues on and on throughout the rounds. He's basically just the most valuable pick in the game. And his Uber charge is basically essential for breaking holds such as last point, sometimes exchanging, and saving people from death from other Ubers. Now, how can we think of sixes? Now that I've explained the very, very basic stuff, sixes is basically a games of adds and disadvantages, where your main caller is calling to your team. For example, if their medic drops, your main caller would be like, alright, great, now that we've done this, we can push forward. While the enemy team's main caller is like, oh, great, that's not good, we gotta back out. Now, you may be thinking, well, if it's like any other team game, this is gonna be a pretty shit game, you know, like, every other game has Ubers, there's only one, so what's the big difference? And there's a couple reasons the big difference. One, you have an actual impact as your own player. You can carry games as a flank scout. You can carry games as a pocket scout. You can carry games as a soldier, demo, sometimes even medic if you don't want to drop or you milk a lot, man. You have your own carry potential, and every player is unique, and that's what's great about it. The other thing is basically the healing in TF2 sucks. Healing TF2 is extremely slow. You can be killed multiple times. DPS ain't exactly as high as like Rivals or like Overwatch sometimes, but the healing is considerably slow since only one healer, you gotta be in range, you can only heal one person. It's just a lot worse, and that allows people to die. Now, how can I get into sixes TF2? Well, there's some very basics. Newbie mixes is pretty good for very, very beginner, but they also like, you're not gonna be getting much gameplay experience. It's more of like to help people out. You can either ring, which is basically a normal team off scrim, but let's say one of their players is missing, you can basically ring for that team and play for them just for that night, or you could try out for a team, which is basically an actual commitment for a team. Alright, now what are the separate divisions of sixes? Well, it starts with NC, also known as Newcomer, AM Amateur, IM Intermediate, Main, Advanced, and Invite. Sometimes there's Div 1 between these two, but basically all you have to know, if you're watching this video and you have no idea what the fuck's happening, you're around here, depending on how good are you at the game base level. Back here is the casual players, dude. Some people skip NC entirely and move on to AM, but that depends on them. Newcomer is usually players who have no idea how to play sixes at all. AM, they're still very new, but they get the grasp of things. IM, people starting to get shit on lockdown. They kind of got the basics, but they're still lacking of a lot of like essentials. Main, usually everyone knows what they're doing around here. Advanced, they're just shy of invite. They're still missing some key elements, but they're insane at the game. And in invite, of course, there's different like sets of low invite and high invite, but all you need to know is that Banny is in this tier.